Thanks for tuning in to People in Legal. We are here at RelFest26, brought to you by Relativity, and I am here with Chris Brown. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Relativity, and love to explore a little bit about your journey into where you are today.
Awesome. So I'm the Chief Product Officer at Relativity. In the middle of my 7th year at Relativity right now, and I lead up our product teams and our innovation roadmap. So that includes our product managers, our user experience folks, our tech doc folks, all the engineers and stuff that work on the platform that we support all of our customers around the world with today.
Excellent. You don't come from legal tech or from a legal background originally. So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about your take on coming from outside the industry in, and what excites you about the legal tech space, what frustrates you about it. Would love to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm a computer engineer by trade, and I say the kind of joke is most of my career I've been running away from legal until I came across Relativity, and then I plunged head in. And basically it's from an innovator mindset and work, I've always kind of targeted industries that are going through some level of disruption, that require some level of transformation, which sounds cool, but it often is a little harder than it sounds. You kind of have a stomach for it. And so I've worked in retail or events or travel industry for quite a long time. And I came across Relativity a number of years ago, and the legal space in general, and it was actually going through multiple tech disruptions, whether that was a movement to the cloud, reacting to all the mobility changes, privacy and security, and then of course AI. And so as I kind of started to look at the industry and an opportunity to work at Relativity, I was kind of blown away by that. Secondarily, I was looking for a company that was, really aligned about doing something remarkable, building what I thought was like a 100-year company in the space. So that got me excited, and I said, time to stop running from lawyers and time to start running to them.
Fantastic. And how have you found it? Because I think the legal industry generally, as you said, is going through a tremendous amount of change at the moment from what was maybe traditionally a bit of a Sleepy Hollow kind of industry.
Yeah.
How are you finding the journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, almost 8 years in, and just as excited as ever. I think the industry we talk about inside this space that we're targeting is called legal data intelligence. And we're building this AI platform for legal data intelligence, which basically means that anytime a piece of data is triggered out there in the world because it's subject to an investigation or a litigation or a data breach response or a regulatory request, it sort of puts in motion all of these other needs to kind of gather the data, get insights from the data, help work all these different processes that are running in often an adversarial system with multiple different players. And I kind of say all that to say it's really interesting stuff. It's exciting. It's great technology, but it's impacting real people in very different ways around the world, and it takes quite a bit of collaboration. So as an innovator, it's just an exciting place to be, and it's a lot of passionate people who work in the space and are doing really good work.
I wanted to explore a little bit about how you bring your customers into the innovation process, and tell us a little bit about how you like to do that, and Relativity's sort of general view on how your customers behave and how they use a platform back into your processes around improving the product and taking it forward.
Yeah, really, really great question. I think one of the things that drew me into Relativity at the very beginning was I got a kind of like a perception of their community. It was such an important part of the company, its journey. It's now in its 25 years, but it had built this incredible community. As a product leader, you can only make your product work if it really appeals to the users that are working in it. And so things like feedback loops are really important. Feedback loops are essentially important in areas of like high skill and high discipline that you don't walk in with. So me as a computer engineer, I'm not a lawyer. So what you want to do is engineer feedback loops into your development process and into your runtime system that help ensure that it is constantly informed by the best expertise around the world. So we developed this program, which we effectively call advanced access programs, where on top of all the different innovations we're bringing to bear, we tried to scale an approach where we basically do forward deployed engineering with our customers. So an advanced access program for a new capability will bring in like originally 5 customers. They'll work with us from the applied science, initial data science work, to the early prototypes of the product, to the first version of the product. We'll then open up to another 10 customers. We'll get their feedback in. And we kind of put that whole process on rails. So we're always informed by our best customers around the world. It's an essential process for the business and one that's been paying dividends for the community for a while.
And how are you finding the take up of AI generally in the platform? And are you finding that it's being used in the way that you thought it would be? Which directions is it taking? And just in terms of the adoption of AI generally, how are you finding it?
Yeah, I think I kind of spoke about AI being a reason I even came into this space. I think what's interesting about law and particularly legal data intelligence is this field, originally kind of named eDiscovery back in the day. It was actually one of the first parts of law to embrace AI, even back as early as like 2013. I like to think of the AI that we're delivering today, which we talked about at the keynote, being our product called Air, built around a generative AI suite, is our fourth generation of AI. So in an interesting way, this industry has adopted previous generations fairly well over the number of years. And so we kind of see quite a bit of adoption. Where we're at now, though, is sort of on steroids.
Yeah.
And the results are so powerful that customers are looking to adopt it more and more for all of their core workflows.
Yeah, fantastic. Being part of a big global community, do you find anything insightful, illuminating about how the Australian customer base tends to use the platform compared to sort of say US, UK, other parts of the world? Are we different? Are we the same? How do you find the Australian market?
Yeah, it's interesting. One of my first experiences when I first joined Relativity, and we had a similar conference in Chicago, and at that point in time, a large contingent of Australian customers flew out to that conference in the United States. And my very first conference, we had a sort of a boardroom meeting with every one of the customers, and they were very passionate about what they needed here in Australia and New Zealand, and how that was, in some cases, similar to what was happening in the US, in some cases, very different. And they were kind of looking at us like, deep in our eyes, like, are you in this with us or not? Right. And I remember it being very, very visceral meeting at the time. We're like, let's go. Like, what is it going to take to really build this platform for the Australian, New Zealand market and APAC? What is it going to take in terms of the engineering, the product work, the people on the ground, the offices, whatever? And the reason why we wanted to do that was, if you looked around the room at all the different practitioners, there was just a ton of innovators around the table, ton of can-do spirit from the Australian folks, real tinkerers with technology, passionate. And it's exactly the type of community we wanted to build around. And it's still that way today. So we kind of love coming here. We love continuing to kind of push the product forward. And I kind of mentioned on stage that it's some of the most complex, forward-leaning work is happening here. And, people are also really comfortable in Australia getting their hands dirty.
Yeah.
Rolling up their sleeves. It's not too pretentious. They just sort of get to work. So it's a great fit.
Fantastic. Chris, thanks again for joining the podcast. I know you're really busy today. You got a lot of commitment. So really appreciate your time, and good luck for the rest of your time in Australia.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.